The lantern sat perched atop a weathered trunk, its glass cloudy with time, yet holding a silent promise of illumination. Whispers of the past seemed to swirl around it, as if the attic itself held its breath, waiting. Legend had it that when the lantern was last lit, the entire house glowed with a warmth that drew neighbors together, filling it with laughter and stories. Now, it waited patiently, ready to reveal its secrets once more. This is the story of how that lantern changed the life of a boy named Jonah, and through him, the lives of many others. Jonah was 12 years old when he first moved to Maplewood. His mother had inherited the house from an uncle no one talked about. Uncle Silas, a reclusive man who had died alone and left behind nothing but dust and mystery. Jonah wasn't thrilled about moving. He missed the city, missed his school, his friends, but life had a strange way of leading you where you needed to go. It was on a rainy Sunday, bored and restless, that Jonah discovered the attic. The door was stiff from years of disuse, and when he finally pushed it open, a smell of old wood and time-worn fabric filled his nose. The attic was full of boxes and forgotten furniture, but what caught his eye was a small wooden crate tucked beneath a blanket. Inside it sat the lantern. It was made of brass and glass, ornate and delicate, with a strange etching along the rim. Light not the world, but the soul within. Jonah brought it downstairs, cleaned it carefully, and asked his mother about it. She shrugged. Probably one of Silas's old trinkets. He was a bit odd. That night, during a power outage caused by the storm, Jonah remembered the lantern. He filled it with oil, struck a match, and lit the wick. The flame flickered to life, not just warm, but calming. A deep, almost reverent stillness filled the room. Then something remarkable happened. As the light from the lantern spread, the walls seemed to shimmer, and Jonah heard a voice, soft, steady, and kind. "Hello, Jonah." He froze, looked around. No one was there. "Don't be afraid. I am the lantern keeper, or rather I was. And now you are." Jonah blinked. "What do you mean? Who are you?" The voice laughed gently. "I was once like you, lost, searching. This lantern has a purpose, you see. It doesn't just give light, it shows truth." From that night on, every time Jonah lit the lantern, it revealed something new. Not outside, but within. Memories, long buried. Feelings he didn't understand. The fears he never spoke of. The love he was afraid to ask for. He began keeping a journal. Not of events, but of what he saw when the lantern burned. His father's absence, the loneliness he masked with jokes, the guilt he felt for missing the city more than he missed the people he left behind. One evening, the lantern flickered brighter than ever before, and Jonah saw not himself, but someone else, his mother, sitting alone in the kitchen, crying quietly into a cup of tea. He hadn't known. He blew out the flame, walked down the stairs, and hugged her. They didn't speak, but something passed between them. Understanding, connection. The lantern was never magic in the way stories often are. It didn't grant wishes, it didn't change the world, but it changed Jonah. And that, in time, changed everything. He began to share the lantern. First with a classmate who always sat alone. Then with a neighbor who had stopped playing piano after her husband passed. Later with a teacher who smiled too brightly and said too little. Each time the lantern lit something new. A forgotten dream, a wound that never healed, a longing waiting for voice. Years passed. Jonah grew. So did the light. He restored the attic, made it into a quiet room. A place for stories, reflection, healing. People began to visit from all over, not to see the lantern, but to sit by it, to be seen by it. The house became known not for its age or its peeling paint, but for its warmth, for the way people left lighter than when they came. And in his old age, Jonah wrote a letter, tucked beside the lantern, for whoever might find it next. If you've come this far, then you already know. The light you seek is not outside, but within. This lantern didn't give you anything you didn't already carry. It only reminded you to look. to feel, to remember, to forgive. Light the flame, sit still, and listen. The truth will come, not loudly but surely. And so the lantern waits, as all sacred things do, for the next keeper, for the next soul ready to see. Because in a world that moves so fast, the quietest light often shines the brightest.